All right. Well, hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this lovely Wednesday for another one of our WESC webinars. My name is Josie Fries, and I am WESC's marketing advisor. If you aren't already familiar with WESC, I'll tell you a little bit about us. So WESC is the organization for Saskatchewan female entrepreneurs. We have a ton of different services to help you on your journey, including business advising, financing, events, and obviously training. Whether you're looking to start a business or you've recently started one or you're looking to grow and improve, we have something for you here. Okay, so let's get to why you've all joined us today. Our topic today is Set Yourself Up for Success in 2021 and is presented by Carrie Schwebis, President of Elevate Executive Coaching. And Carrie, I hope I said your name right there. If you have any questions for Carrie as we go through the presentation, please be sure to use that Q&A box and not the regular chat box. But we do encourage you to use that chat box to tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business and to chat with other attendees. As always, this webinar is recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing. You'll receive an email tomorrow at this time with a link to the recording, along with some other handy resources that Carrie has prepared for us. All right, Carrie, I think I've done enough talking. I will hand it over to you to begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Josie. Yes, and it's pronounced Schwabius. I know it's a mouthful, and it even now I have to think about writing it out. And I've been married for almost 20 years, so no problem. I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen here, and we will get started. There we go. Okay. So today we're going to talk about setting yourself up for success in 2021, exploring your goals and getting out of your own way. Okay, I'm not advancing here. Let's go. Okay, so my name is Carrie Schwabius, like Josie said. I had a long career in communications management. I'm a communications professional. I'm a leader. I'm a mother and wife. I do change, and I am an executive coach. I also facilitate True Colors, which is kind of a self-awareness tool. And I'm an entrepreneur just like all of you. Okay, so I'm going to get us started here, and then I'm going to shut off my video because I don't want it to distract me or you as well. So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about understanding your goals and what might be getting in your way. So what are some limiting beliefs or negative thinking that you think might be getting in your way? And then I'm going to give you some strategies about how to bust through those limiting beliefs and get past them. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about how coaching works and how to find a good coach. Okay, before we dive in here, I want you to set your intention for the next hour we're together. What do you want to take away from this webinar? And then what do you need to do to achieve this? So do you need to get rid of some distractions? Do you need to focus fully? What do you need to get something valuable out of the next hour we're together? Okay. So during the presentation, I just ask that you be fully present, be open to new ideas, see what resonates with you, maybe what lands for you, participate. So there'll be a few times when I ask you to jump on the chat and share your thoughts and then enjoy. I want you to get some value out of this. I want you to feel like at the end of this, like, yeah, I'm ready to tackle 2021. Let's go. All right. Understanding your goals. Oops. Okay, so you've probably all heard of SMART goals. And I'm not going to spend a whole ton of time here because this is pretty common. But I just want you to think about the goals that you're setting for yourself, and are you setting specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goals? And I've given you some examples here. So specific, for example, I want more balance. Well, what does that mean? It means I want more time and energy to take care of my health and fitness every day. So that's very specific. Is it measurable? So again, I want more time for myself. Well, how much time? What does that look like? I want an hour a day to focus on what I need. That's more measurable. Attainable. So I want to achieve world peace. That's a great goal. And I don't want to discourage anybody from having a big, hairy, audacious goal. But how can you make that meaningful in your own life and with your own influence? So what's attainable? I want to nurture relationships with those who matter most to me. That's attainable. That you can do. Realistic. I will be the greatest leader the world has ever known. Well, you might very well be, but rather than say, this big grand gesture, how about I will be an effective leader for those who work for me? And then time bound. So someday isn't really time bound, and it doesn't really motivate you to get something done. Rather, say in 5 years, my profits will exceed whatever it is. So just an idea on how to make your goals a little smarter. And now we're going to dive into those goals a little bit. So I want you to think about one of the goals that you've had. And I want you to just take a minute and in the chat box, if you can share some of the goals or one goal that you've had. No goals? Nobody's got goals, or nobody's paying attention here? Oh, there we go. Okay, launch my business. Yes, awesome. Buy a house. Oh, fantastic. Grow 20%. Great. Use every page on my passport before it expires. I love that. I love that. I bet you can't wait to get started. Hone my sales skills. Yes. Record a podcast. Fantastic. Passive income. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Great. Increase business, become healthier. Yes, fabulous goals. Okay, these are great. Leadership goals. Nice, nice. Okay, excellent. Now, I want you to reflect on this goal. Why is this goal so important to you? What is it about this goal that makes it so meaningful for you? Okay, now I want you to think about when you achieve this goal, what will that do for you? Will make you happy, more financially stable. Okay. Now, if you achieve this goal, how will your satisfaction in this part of your life improve? So even if you have to close your eyes and think about how is your life going to change and be better when you achieve this goal? Now I want you to think about what if you don't achieve this goal? What's at stake? Okay. Now that you got a sense of how important this goal is to you and what that means for you, I want to shift a little bit into what are the ways that you're avoiding working towards your goal? So for me, for example, I'll get on Facebook and I go to that video stream and I start watching all these funny videos, and the next thing I know, I've lost half an hour. It's just gone. And I think, okay, so that was kind of fun, but how often am I doing this? How much time am I just letting go when I could be focusing on things that are really important to me? So what are those things that are getting in your way? Okay. What are the short-term rewards of these behaviors? Okay, so if I'm on Facebook, maybe I'm having a little amusement, having a few laughs. What are the other short-term behaviors? So are you just resting on your laurels? Is it a money thing? Are you saving money? Now, what is the price you're paying if you're not working towards these goals? So I might be able to take, an hour or so to look at Facebook or Instagram, but what price am I paying to do that? Okay. So how are we doing? Endless rounds of research before making a choice. Yes, really overthinking things. Okay. So I want you to really think about that goal and all those things that are getting in your way and why this is so important to you. And now we're going to shift into some limiting beliefs. So I really like this phrase here: people's beliefs directly impact their ability to take actions on their own behalf. So what you think, what you believe, either helps you to take actions or limits you from taking actions. So imagine that little engine that could. I think I can. He believed he could, so he did. So I'm just going to talk about all of these limiting beliefs that we might have. So we can also call these, another term is cognitive distortion. I recently took a course where they talked about saboteurs. And in general, it's just negative thinking. And these are just ways that our mind convinces us of something that isn't really true. But they sound rational. They make sense to us. So they must be accurate. However, what they are really doing is making us feel bad about ourselves and keeping us from achieving our goals. So as we go through these, you'll notice that they can be similar, and there might be others that you think of that I haven't included here, but these are some that I've come up with and put in the presentation for you today. Okay, limiting beliefs. All or nothing, black or white, one extreme or the other. So in this instance, we believe we have to be perfect or we're a complete failure. There's no in between. But in reality, life is really complex. People are really complex. Things are very rarely black or white. They are 1,000 shades of gray. So when we think in terms of black or white, we limit ourselves and our ability to do things. Overgeneralization. This is when you come to a general conclusion based on one single incident or a single piece of evidence. So if something bad happens once, you expect it to happen over and over again. Or if you see a single negative event, rather than see it as one negative event, you see it as this never-ending pattern of defeat. So for example, a student gets a poor grade on an exam, so they conclude they're a horrible student and they should quit school. Or if you have children, you've probably heard, you always give me heck. You never give him heck. I've heard that once or twice in my life, so overgeneralization. Okay, the next one is about minimizing or magnifying or catastrophizing. So this is really about seeing things as dramatically more or less important than they actually are. In this case, the person focuses on the worst case scenario and imagines the absolute worst thing happening. What if tragedy strikes? What if this happens to me? So if you've ever made a little mistake, but felt like you've completely screwed things up, this is minimizing or magnifying a situation. A good example here is if you've ever planned a wedding. Or watched somebody plan a wedding, you might have experienced this or observed this. The shade of napkin doesn't match the tablecloths. The whole wedding's ruined. So that's catastrophizing. Okay, should. Oh, this one's such a difficult one. Should is telling yourself that you should do something and then feeling guilty when you don't do it. So shoulds are a list of rules about how we should behave. And they can be directed at you or they can be directed at others. When you should someone else and believe they should behave a certain way, you will be disappointed or angry or even resentful when they don't. If you're a woman or a mother, which I know you're all women, some of you are mothers, I'm going to bet you've been in this headspace at some time. I should cook healthier meals. I should limit my kids' screen time, even though we're in a pandemic and they can't see their friends outside of school and they're bored out of their minds. This should reminds me of something I heard on the radio a few weeks back on Z99. They were talking about Lori Lindsay had a Christmas tree in her bathroom. And so they put it out to their audience, should she have a Christmas tree in her bathroom? And all these people were saying, oh, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't have a Christmas tree in your bathroom. But I kept thinking, well, like, who is this hurting? It brings her joy. This is a good thing for her. So, why are we judging her or telling her she should or shouldn't do that particular thing? Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is labeling. So when you label yourself or others based on one thing or event, this is kind of an extreme form of overgeneralizing. We all make mistakes. Everybody has bad days, but rather than look at that one day or that one mistake in a particular context or situation, we label ourselves or others. Stereotypes can come from this kind of thinking, and it can be dangerous because we become judgmental of ourselves and others. This one makes me think of social media and how people are sometimes quick to judge others based on, one comment or one post, and they don't even know the person. Okay, another limiting belief is jumping to conclusions or mind reading or fortune telling. So mind reading is about making up stories or negative assumptions without evidence. And then fortune telling is about making negative predictions without evidence. And this happens so easily when there's a lack of communication. If you haven't heard from someone in a while, you might jump to the conclusions about whether or not they're mad at you, how they're feeling, what they're thinking. It's so easy to make up stories in our heads when we haven't spoken to someone or asked them about how they're doing or what's going on. Another example in fortune telling is you might, anticipate or predict that things will turn out badly in a meeting or a business negotiation. And maybe you feel so convinced that this prediction is a fact that you don't bother trying. Discounting the positive. This is about downplaying your success, your achievements, your abilities. For example, have you ever received a compliment and then afterwards you say, oh, it's no big deal. Anyone could do it. So think about your own business. When you reach a milestone or you have a really successful day or event, do you ever tell yourself, yes, but that was just one day. Yes, but I have so much more to do, so much farther to go. Stop discounting the positive. Celebrate that success. Recognize how amazing you are. Blame and personalization. So blaming yourself or someone else, even if you aren't entirely responsible or something is completely outside of your control. For example, it's my fault my son's soccer team lost their game because we were late getting there. That's ridiculous. Blaming others for your pain and suffering. For example, have you ever said, stop making me feel bad about myself? Well, nobody can make you feel a particular way. Only you control your own emotions or actions. Okay, the next one here, emotional reasoning. So this is about assuming that something that you're feeling is true without thinking if it's really accurate. So an example here might be, have you ever done or said something stupid? So the negative thought that goes around this is, I've done this or I feel stupid, so I must be stupid. And emotions can be really strong and overrule our rational thoughts and reasoning. So it's irrational to say, well, I said something stupid, so I must be stupid. But sometimes emotions just take over. Mental filters. This is also similar to overgeneralizing or catastrophizing. Here you allow one little negative detail to ruin the whole experience. I've done this for sure. I sometimes allow the first few minutes of my day to ruin the whole day. So I sleep in and then I wake up and I have to rush around and get out the door in the morning. And then I look at my whole day through this mental filter of I'm having a horrible day. So rather than allowing this one negative activity or horrible moment to ruin everything, take it for what it is. Okay, I got up late, no big deal, but I'm going to move on with the rest of my day more productively. And don't let that rough start affect your whole day. Okay, so those are a whole bunch of limiting beliefs. So in the chat right now, I want you to just let me know, have you felt these? Have you experienced these? Have you seen other people go through some of these? And like I said, these aren't, this is an exhaustive list. There's, lots of things, lots of negative thoughts that can get in our way. Oh gosh, I think you were reading my mind. Yeah, you're not alone. Yeah, experience a lot of these, sure. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. I love this quote from William Shakespeare in the play Measure for Measure. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt, which simply means, we don't take those risks because we're afraid. All right. So how do we bust through? Here's the good stuff. How do we bust through these limiting beliefs? First and foremost, take care of yourself. Easier said than done, right? Get enough rest, eat well, get some exercise, take a break. You have a better chance of being positive and clear-headed when you are physically well. So this is so important. Notice and name. So it's easier to address something if you are aware of it, obviously. So if you're in the heat of the moment, you're like, you hit the snooze button, and then you get up and you're like, oh, I should have got up earlier. Shoulda. I just shoulda myself. Uh-oh. Notice it. Name it. Mindfulness. So this is about practicing mindfulness. And when you're feeling some of these things, when you notice something and name it, what do you feel in your body? Are your muscles tight? Are you breathing faster? What's going on? And how do you deal with that? So there's lots of articles and suggestions about meditating, journaling, drawing even, just being more aware of what's going on. All right, stay curious. So this saboteur comes up, this negative limiting belief. Be curious about it. What's making you think this way? Are these assumptions or are these facts? Do you know this for sure? Or are you just making up those stories in your head? So stay curious. Make the choice. You can see in this picture I changed the cheerleader to team me. So make that choice. Change your inner critic, the one who says you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, whatever that is. Turn that critic into a cheerleader. There's lots of things you can't choose in life, your relatives, for example. But when it comes to how you respond to things that happen to you and how you approach the challenges in your life, you have all the control. So make the conscious choice. Tell yourself, I can do this. I am smart. I am strong. I am determined. Sometimes when I'm faced with a difficult situation, I tell myself, this will not defeat me, even if it's about assembling IKEA furniture. And if you have to look yourself in the mirror and say daily affirmations, then do it. If you have to write yourself little notes and stick them around your house or office to remind you how amazing you are, then do it. If you have to call up a friend and ask them to boost your self-esteem, then do it. You deserve it. Make the choice. Stop being your own worst critic and start being your biggest cheerleader. List your accomplishments. If you need proof, because some of us think, okay, I can tell myself amazing, but that's not really true. But if you need some proof on how amazing you are, write it down, make a list. Remind yourself all of those things that you've experienced, all the things that you've overcome in your life. Remind yourself how far you've come. Think about all the people in your life and how you've supported them. And then when that inner critic shows up in your head and tells you you're not enough, you can fire back, well, look, yes, I am. Here's the list. Reframing. This one can be tricky. It's hard, but it works. Another word is perspective. So how are you looking at things? How are you changing your perspective? Every challenge you face in your life can be reframed as an opportunity, even if it's just an opportunity to learn something from that experience. You just need to look at it from another perspective. For me, this is very true, and I'm going to share with you a very personal experience. I don't often share with strangers, but here we are. So I think it's a powerful story, and so I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to put it out there. So quite some time ago now, it was in 2004, I became pregnant with my first child. And I always knew I wanted to be a mom until then, I'd been focusing on my career. But at the time in my life, I had just lost my job, and that was learning opportunity number one. I learned that work and career wasn't the most important thing in my life, and no job is ever a guarantee. But learning opportunity number two came when I gave birth to my beautiful baby girl. About a day after my daughter was born, we found out that she had trisomy 13. It's a chromosomal condition where she has 3 copies of the 13th chromosome, as opposed to the normal 2. It's something that occurs at conception. It's similar to Down syndrome, but with a different chromosome. And with children who have trisomy 13, most children die within the first week. Even many of them don't even make it to birth. And the few that do survive have extremely severe disabilities. And when my daughter was a week old, she passed away in my arms, and there was absolutely nothing I or any medical professional could do about it. Obviously, I was devastated. Probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But after grieving, I asked myself, why did this happen to us? What can I take away from this absolutely horrible experience to give her short life meaning? And there were a number of things that I learned from that experience that made me a better person. I learned that every time a healthy baby is born, it's a miracle. So when I was blessed with 3 healthy children after that, I understood what a great gift that was. I was also equipped to support other women who had suffered a similar loss because I knew how they felt. And in general, I think the experience made me much more empathetic to other people who are facing all kinds of challenging situations because everybody's going through something. Over time, this appreciation for the gift of life and more empathy made me a better person, and it made me a stronger leader. So my point here is that no matter how horrible a situation seems at the time, we have the power to choose what we take from that and choose how we're going to move forward. All right. How else can we quiet our inner critic? Focus on opportunities. So as you're reframing, I want you to think about obstacles that you faced along your journey. Think about the things that have gotten in the way of achieving your goals. Let's look at this pandemic, for example, since it's top of mind for all of us. What obstacles has this pandemic put in front of us? Has it taken opportunities to meet our customers, taken away opportunities to meet customers face to face? Has it caused financial difficulties? Has it caused mental and emotional distress? All of these things, what has it done to us physically? It's been really challenging, there's no doubt about it. But let's reframe this. So let's start with, what can we learn from this situation? And it may not be the same for you or everyone. But what have you learned from this experience? What's become clearer to you? And what have you done to adjust to all the changes in the world? Now let's look into the future. How can what we've learned help us to be stronger, smarter, more effective, successful, happier? After what we've experienced in this past year, what are we going to do differently with our new knowledge and clarity about what's important? For my family, the pandemic really slowed us down. Before, we were really busy with all the kids' activities and running people around. So when the pandemic hit, we started spending more time together. We played more games. We watched movies together. We had supper together every night. And I look back and I cherish this time because, you know, my children, I have one teenager and two not far behind. And this time will go so quickly. So this last year has really been a gift in terms of, you know, spending some really good time together. Maybe for you, it was the push you needed to get your business online or reach out to people who are not in your geographic area. So yeah, it's been a tough and difficult year, but what can we take away from it? What do we learn from it? Okay. The next tactic to quiet your inner critic is ignore it and do it anyway. There's an author and speaker that I really enjoy. Her name is Mel Robbins. You might have heard of her. She's written a book called The 5-Second Rule. She's got all kinds of videos on YouTube. She even had a talk show for a while. And there are two things that I've learned from Mel Robbins that have really stuck with me. And the first one is, you will never feel like it. So let's look at physical health, for example. If you want to get more fit, do more exercise, and then it comes to a time when you go for the workout and you tell yourself, oh, I'm too tired, I don't have time. These beliefs are getting in the way of you becoming healthier. So instead of listening to that voice in your head, do it anyway. You know you're going to feel good about it after that workout. I read something on Facebook a few weeks ago that I really loved. I'm going to share it with you today. It says, whatever you're doing today, do it with the confidence of a 4-year-old wearing a Batman t-shirt. The next thing I learned from Mel Robbins is, no one is coming to save you. I'm going to share another experience with you, my personal experience. I was in a job that I was kind of bored with. Company was great, good pay, wonderful people, but I had outgrown my role and I was ready for a bigger challenge. And I just kept getting more and more frustrated because no opportunities were coming up for me. And I was waiting for someone to give me what I needed. And then when I read Mel Robbins' book and this idea of nobody's coming to save you, it was like suddenly clear to me. I can't wait for someone to give me what I want. I'm going to go out and get it myself. So those two things, you will never feel like it, and no one is coming to save you. All right. This is kind of a tough one here. I want you to close your eyes and imagine the person you love most in the whole world. Now, I want you to imagine looking into their eyes and telling them they're not enough. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Of course, you would never do that. So why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we tell ourselves these false beliefs if we wouldn't do that to the people we love the most? Okay. I want you to say this out loud because nobody can hear you. Let's do it. I commit to reframing or ignoring my negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. So here I'm going to share a quote from Viktor Frankl. He was in the concentration camps and wrote the book, Man's Search for the Meaning of Life. And he says, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Okay, how are we doing? What's landing for you? Go ahead in the chat and tell me what you're thinking. Oh, I see all these lovely comments. Thank you so much. Stop being hard on myself and do it. Yes. Reframing. Good. Very nice. Self-talk. Yes. I know I'm reminded of, I'm going to date myself here, but I'm reminded of Smalley on Saturday Night Live. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and people like me. Just do it. Yes, that's right. Awesome. Oh, Ashley. Yes, that exercise is with the tell this person you love that you're not enough. Yeah. Stop with the excuses. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay. So I just wanted to take a little time and talk about coaching, what it is and how it works. And I am a coach, of course. So I just wanted to kind of walk you through, what to look for in a coach, that kind of thing. So coaching is an investment in yourself. And a coach is trained to work with either individuals or teams to unlock their potential. And they do that by having conversations and asking you questions. They can help you to do all these things, clarify your goals, work towards your objectives, find clarity, get unstuck, find more balance, improve your relationships, navigate some difficult professional relationships. Coaching is similar to some other things, but different. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. So there are other relationships at first glance that might seem like coaching, counseling, for example. So counseling is focused on understanding and resolving the past to support individuals to be well in the present, which is different than coaching because coaching really focuses on the future. So counselors are there to support you in mental wellness and to move from dysfunction to functional. Coaching is really about enhancing your ability to achieve your potential. Mentoring is another relationship that's similar to coaching. Also very valuable in leadership and personal development. A mentor is generally someone with lots of knowledge and experience who is willing to share what they know. And you can learn a lot from their successes and their mistakes. And some coaches will have similar experience and knowledge, which they sometimes will share with you in coaching conversations, but really they're there to support you to find your own way to address your challenges and achieve your goals. And then finally, consulting can be similar to coaching and is also a valuable relationship, but consultants are typically hired to fill a skill or a resource gap, and they have a lot of expertise and advice that they're bringing to the table. In coaching, the expertise comes from you. So why would you want to use a coach? Like most entrepreneurs and leaders, you're probably very busy. There are endless demands on your time and attention and the results that you're expected to achieve, not to mention a personal life and caring for others at home, and then self-care, taking time to take care of yourself. And it's really easy to go about each day ticking off boxes on your endless to-do list. But how often do you sit back and take the time to think about where you're spending your time and energy? Are these the right boxes? Are they in the right order? And coaching gives you an opportunity for reflection and focus. So it gives you that time to step back, analyze your challenges and your opportunities and the best way to address them or seize them. It can also help you increase your productivity and become more effective. And it keeps you on track. So when you work with a coach, you might have a particular time frame, maybe it's 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, and you meet with your coach on a regular basis. So this keeps you focused on what it is you're working towards. And somehow knowing that someone is going to follow up with you in a following meeting keeps you accountable. So you're easily you'll let something slide because you're not worried about disappointing yourself. But when you're accountable to somebody else, all of a sudden you start, making sure things happen. And when you are focused on your goals and you start to make some traction and move forward, you feel better, you feel empowered, and you start moving faster. And as you do this, you actually start feeling happier. So if you decide that coaching is something that you're interested to help you achieve your goals, then what are you going to look for in a coach? Like any profession, there are good coaches and there are some not so good coaches. And when you invest your time and your resources into a coaching relationship, you want to make sure that you're getting value. So here are some things to look for. Coach training. So training in recent years has come a long way, and there are programs offered by universities and programs that are offered not by an educational institution, but they're still pretty good. One way to ensure that the training that your coach has gone through is to see if it's recognized by a professional association. So I'm a member of the International Coaching Federation, ICF, and the program that I did was recognized by that. And they have a whole list on there. You can go and look at it. So make sure that, the person that you're talking to, lots of people can put a sign out and say, hey, I'm a coach. But some of them will do so without having any kind of training or education. Certification. So ICF again does, they have some standards and some, I'm going to say hoops you have to jump through to become certified. So you have to have certain training, you have to have a certain number of hours of coaching, and you have to write an exam. So it just holds coaches accountable to make sure that their skills are up to speed. So while being certified doesn't necessarily mean someone isn't a good by not being certified doesn't mean somebody's not a good coach. So I'm not saying that, somebody who doesn't have a certification can't be a good coach. They certainly can. But when they are certified, it gives you that assurance that the coach that you're hiring has met certain standards. And then you want to look for someone who's authentic and honest. So you're making an investment in coaching, and you probably don't want someone wasting your time beating around the bush. You need someone who's going to be straight with you. Difficult feedback is not easy to deliver or receive, but if you really want to move yourself forward, you got to hear that. And getting the most of your investment, you want to find a coach who's going to be straight with you. And then trust and connection. This is probably, of all these things, probably the most important. If you want to get the most out of coaching, then you have to allow yourself to be a little vulnerable. And so you want to find a coach who you feel understands you and you feel like you can trust. And a lot of coaches will offer an introductory call or meeting where you can get to know each other and get a sense of whether or not it's a good fit. Coaching is an investment. And so, you want to take time to make sure you've got the right coach. Okay, so I'm just going to show you this little activity. I'm going to bring up the next slide, and you're going to see a whole bunch of numbers on the next slide. And I'm going to give you 20 seconds. And I want you to find numbers 1 to 50 in order until I tell you to stop. So here we go. Okay, stop. In the chat, how high did we get? 13, 11, 12. Okay, okay. 14, yay. Kate, 24. Very nice. Okay. Now we're going to do this again. I'm going to count to 20. But before we do, I'm going to show you something here. So on the next page, you'll see that I've divided, it's the same group of numbers, but I've divided them into 4 quadrants. And when you look at them, you will notice that the numbers come up in each quadrant clockwise. So I want you to do it again and tell me how high you get. And stop. Okay, how did we do this time? 27, 20, oh yes, 37, 32. Okay, we jumped up. All right, fantastic. So what I wanted to show you here was when you look at everything all at once, everything that's going on in your life, it can be really overwhelming. When you work with a coach, they can help you break things down, reflect, and decide on your best move, which ultimately allows you to get farther faster. Okay, I just have a few more slides and then we'll wrap things up. Getting the most out of coaching. Okay, so you've signed up with a coach. You want to work on some goals. How are you going to get the most out of the time you have together? Come prepared. Know what you want to accomplish with your coaching relationship, and then focus on the tough stuff. So if it's easy for you, don't waste your time working with a coach. Focus on the things that are really difficult. Then lean in, commit to it, be consistent, eliminate your distractions, be open, be courageous. Come to every session prepared to get the most out of it. Be prepared to be challenged. Get comfortable being uncomfortable and stay curious about all those things that are going on. Be prepared to take action. Expect change. So you're here for a reason. You have a big goal you want to accomplish. Be prepared to act on that. And finally, enjoy it. Enjoy the experience. Enjoy the relationship. Okay. We are at the end. So before I leave, I want you to think back to the very beginning when I asked you to set your intention for our time together. And in the chat, I want you to type 1 or 2 things about what you're taking away from this webinar. How did you do on that intention? Be kinder to yourself. Nice. Quiet those negative ideas. Good. Good. What else? Lift my spirit for the future. I love it. Expect change. Have faith in myself. Yes. Feel more confident. Sit down and reflect on goals and set realistic expectations. Yes. Fantastic. Awesome. All right. Okay, so Josie said she will be sending out a copy of these slides, and I've also put together a workbook that has a lot of these questions in it, so you can feel free to print that off and you know, do some more reflection on these goals and why they're so important to you, and how you can get over these limiting beliefs. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so I just want to thank you so much for spending an hour with me today. I really hope you found it helpful. And oh, I see a question here. When is the right time or the best time to get a coach? Well, that is really up to you. It's when you're ready to make change in your life. So if you have a goal that you really want to achieve and you've got some time to focus on that goal and take some actions toward that goal, that would be the time. If you're not prepared for change, if you're not prepared to be challenged, then you're not ready. Or if you don't know what you want, then you're not ready. Okay. All right. So again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending the time with me today. I hope you found some value. I know there's a feedback form, so I'd appreciate any feedback you have. If you want to reach out to me, my contact information is on there. And thank you so much, Josie.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Carrie, for the great presentation today. Like we talked about before, with 2020 coming to a close, I feel like this webinar is super timely. So hopefully all of you felt that it was useful as well. Our next webinar is happening next Wednesday on the 16th, and it happens to be our business plan basics workshop. So if you want some guidance with writing your business plan and need some help in that department, we have that webinar for you. It's free and registration is open now at wesk.ca/events. And as Carrie mentioned, you'll be receiving an email tomorrow with the slides and the workbook and a link to the recording as well. All right, thanks everyone for joining us today and have a great afternoon.
Thanks. Have a great afternoon.